What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to give you another top 10 video here for you in this video today. And today we are taking a look at the top 10 most excited fan bases heading into the 2023 college football season. Yes, we're over 4 months away from the 2023 college football season. We're also a couple weeks away from starting our official predictions for all the Power 5 teams, so stay tuned for those predictions coming in the month of May. And we're trying to get more off-season videos out before we do those predictions in the month of May. So now we're looking at the top 10 most excited fan bases heading into the 2023 season. We're going to do the opposite. Tomorrow we're going to do the top 10 most excited fan bases for today. And then tomorrow we'll do the top 10 most least excited fan bases heading into the 2023 season. Like, they're not going to be really hyped up for this season, but these are the best top 10 teams that I could probably come up with on this list. There are definitely more fan bases that are definitely excited for college football, but I think every fan base is really hyped up for college football heading into 2023. But these are, I think, the best top 10 teams that I think are, the fan bases that are hyped up for their team heading into 2023, and they have high expectations heading into next year, but maybe they won't live up to those expectations. Maybe they won't be as good as we think they're going to be, or maybe they think they are going to be good as well. So I think these are the top 10 best teams that I could come up with, and the best fan bases that I could come up with here in this video. And I know I'm going to get some feedback here on this video as well for some fan bases, but these are just the best top 10 teams that I have. So we'll start with number 10 here. Starting with number 10 is going to be LSU. Team that's coming off a 10-4 season last year. I think fans are really hyped up for this season, especially with all the production they have coming back. And Janie Daniels coming back at quarterback, who led them to the SEC championship game last year. And this is a team, like I said, that just went to the SEC championship game a year ago. And I don't think there's no reason, for me to put LSU on this list, because there's absolutely no reason to put them on here on this list, because LSU fans are really hyped up for this season, but it all starts with that first game against Florida State. If they win that game, there's a good chance that LSU could have a really good season. If they don't win that game, there's a chance they could have a bad season. But the reason why they're on this list is because of what they did last year. They beat Alabama last year, and they obviously won the SEC West. So there's no reason why LSU shouldn't be on this list. So that's my number 10 team. I think LSU fans are hyped up for this season. Let's now go to number 9. Number 9 is going to be Wisconsin. Wisconsin, a team that's getting a lot of hype coming into this season, of course, with Luke Fickell coming in. And, you're probably thinking, how are they on this list? Well, they didn't have a good season last year, but, I think with Luke Fickell coming in, the hype is for real this time, and I think fans are just excited for what Luke Fickell can bring to the table for this Wisconsin team. They're looking to get back to one of those top programs in the Big Ten as well, and that's the reason why I have to put Wisconsin on this list. And I think, they're going to have a pretty good season this year. It depends on how many games they win in their first year with Luke Fickell. He could probably win 7, 8, or 9 games, and I think that's good enough, to where you have a first-year head coach that can have a good season. The question is, how will Luke Fickell do against the Power 5 team programs, and also in the Big Ten Conference against Western Division opponents, and, of course, the Eastern Division opponents. So Wisconsin, I think fans are hyped up for this season. I think because of Coach Fickell coming in, I think it's going to help them out a lot, heading into next year. So I think Wisconsin fans have a lot of, expectations heading into next year. That's my number 9 team. Number 8 is going to be Duke. Duke is number 8 here on this top 10 most excited fan base list. I think Duke fans are pretty excited for what the future holds for Duke. This is a team that's coming off a 9-4 season last year. They were really a big surprise team from last season as well. And this team has a lot of production coming back. They are ranked, in the top 10 with returning production coming back. And I really don't understand how the FBI is not giving this team a lot of credit from what they did last year. They should be at least, ranked in the top 25, or maybe outside the top 25, maybe in the top 30. Perhaps, or maybe outside the top 30, but Duke has a lot of production coming back, and I don't understand how the FBI is not giving this team a lot of credit. And I think the fan base is really excited for this Duke team. It starts off with that first game against Clemson. If they can come out with a victory in their first game of the season, that's going to be huge for them. This Duke team could very well have a really good season. And with no divisions in the ACC this year, it's definitely going to be tough. But, I think Duke has got what it takes to really be a competitive team. and I think their fan base is going to be really hyping up this team as well. They expect Duke to be a really good team this year with all the production they have coming back. So Duke, number 8 here on this top 10 fan base countdown. Number 7 is going to be Kansas. Kansas 6-7 record last year. They were definitely one of the most surprised teams from a year ago. Kansas, their fan base is hyped up. This team has a lot of production coming back, and the reason why they're on this list is just the production and also what they did from last season. I think Kansas is going to be a pretty good team this year. I don't think they'll win maybe like 5 or 6 or 7 games, but, I think they'll be highly competitive against the Big 12. This season. There are 14 teams now in the Big 12, but I think this team is going to really be a competitive team with all the production they have coming back, and most of that production from last year includes all their players that went 6-7 last year, and Kansas is definitely a team to look out for in the Big 12. I think they're going to be one of those dark horse contenders in the Big 12 as well, and I think Kansas's fan base is really hyped up for this season, and I think they kind of expect them, to maybe win 7, 8, or 9 games this year. I don't really see that happening, but it really is possible. You never know what can happen in college football, and I think Kansas is a team to look out for in 2023, and it's just about the fan base of this team. The fan base, I think, is really hyped up. It started last year as well, so the fan base is right there with them here this upcoming season. That's my number 7 team. Moving on to number 6 is Colorado. I don't think anybody expected Colorado to be on this list. They went 1-11 last year. Yes, it was a disastrous season for Colorado, but if you look at the spring game from yesterday, there was a lot of fans in those seats. I mean, there were a lot of fans in those seats, and that kind of maybe put them on this list. Colorado is definitely a team that's not going to win, maybe 5 or 6 or 7 games this year. They could probably, at best to win 4 games perhaps, but I mean, they're in the Pac-12, so they had to run through the Pac-12, but I mean, with a hype of, Coach Deion Sanders coming in, I think, the fans are just so excited for this team. And also a new era for Colorado. I think, they're excited for the new era coming in and also for what Coach Sanders can bring to the table. But, when I look at that spring game from yesterday, I got to tell you, Colorado definitely deserves to be on this list. But it just comes down to the regular season. But like I said, I am not really hyped for this team. But I'm just really, excited for what their fan base is doing. Their fan base was really packed yesterday, and it was probably the biggest, packed stadium, for a spring game. I mean, that's really crazy in a spring game. It's not even the college football season just yet, and I think we're kind of expecting this fan base to be loaded this season and also fill up those stands. So Colorado definitely deserves to be on this list. I don't think fans will agree with it, but I mean, it is what it is. So they're number 6 here on this list. Let's now go to the top 5 now. Number 5 is going to be Texas. Texas 8-5 last year. The team, is hyped up, and also the fan base is expecting high expectations from Texas this season. And with Quinn Ewers coming back at quarterback, that's huge for them. And, Arch Manning, I think, has got the fans hyped up as well for what he can bring to the table. But it's going to come down, to Texas's offense. It's going to come down to the defense as well. I mean, Texas, you never know, might not live up to those expectations that we thought they were going to be. But maybe this is a 10-win team this season for Texas. You never know about them. They could probably, be a surprise team, but also maybe it'd be a disappointment. But I think Texas, their fan base is really hyped up, and that's why they belong on this list. And I did watch the spring game, a couple weeks ago, and I think Quinn Ewers definitely looked really good in the spring game, and I think he definitely deserves, a lot of credit for what he did in the spring game as well. He was pretty consistent in that game as well. Arch Manning was pretty average, but I think, the fan base is really expecting high expectations for Texas this season after an 8-5 season last year. But with just all the production they have coming back, and also with Quinn Ewers, probably one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12 coming back this season, I think he definitely deserves a lot of credit. And that's my number 5 team. Number 5 is Texas. Number 4 is going to be Penn State. Penn State 11-2 last year in 2022. This fan base is really excited for this team. The fan base is really excited for this team heading into 2023. This team probably could be a Big Ten East contender and also maybe challenge Ohio State and Michigan in the Big Ten East. The bad news is they're going to have to play Ohio State on the road, but they do get Michigan at home. But after what they did last year, this fan base is really high, high on this team. And also, they're expecting high expectations for the Nittany Lions. I think, I'm kind of, the same way. I am kind of pretty hyped for this Penn State team. I don't really expect them to beat Ohio State or Michigan perhaps, but you never know what can happen. They could probably win 11 games this year and possibly be a playoff contender perhaps. So I think this fan base is really excited for Penn State. I think Penn State fans are really excited for the hype coming into this season and also the production they have coming back this season. They're going to have a new quarterback, but I think they'll be fine at that quarterback position as long as they stay consistent on both sides of the ball. So Penn State definitely is a team to look out for in 2023. The fan base is really excited for this team, and that's my number 14. Number 3 is going to be Notre Dame, a team that's getting a lot of hype coming into this year, and their fan base is really excited for this upcoming season. Basically because Sam Hartman is coming over from Wake Forest. He's one of the top quarterbacks from last year in the transfer portal and also in all ACC football history. And he definitely has had a great career. He's now heading into his 6th year in the college football seasons. He's potentially be a Heisman contender. They went 9-4 last year. Yes, it wasn't a really good season for Notre Dame. It was a kind of an up and down year, but this team is just getting a lot of hype coming into this season. And that's the reason why they belong on this list. The fan base is just so excited to see what this Notre Dame team can do under Sam Hartman at quarterback. And as long as he stays healthy and stays consistent, Notre Dame is a potential playoff contender in 2023, so watch out for the Irish heading into 2023. This is my number 3 team. Number 2 is going to be South Carolina. South Carolina, I think, has a lot of hype coming into this season. Maybe they're potentially overrated and also underrated, perhaps, but I think the reason why South Carolina belongs on this list is just how they finished last year. I know their bowl game, they lost to Notre Dame just like we talked about it, and I think, with those top 10 wins that they had from last year against Tennessee and Clemson, that kind of got South Carolina fans really hyped up for this upcoming season. Shane Beamer's really turned this program around, and I'm liking what South Carolina has done now under Shane Beamer. I think he's really changed this program, and I think their fan base is pretty excited for this upcoming season. I think they're kind of expecting South Carolina to be a contender in the East, but not like a big SEC East, contender like with those two teams like Georgia and Tennessee. But they kind of expect them to be that third best team in the SEC East. But they do have a tough schedule this year. They got to play North Carolina and Clemson, both out of the non-conference in the ACC, and they also had to play Texas A&M on the road this year. That is going to be a tough game, but South Carolina, I definitely think, is the third best team in the East heading into next year. So South Carolina, I think their fan base is really excited. They are my number 2 team. Again, 8-5 last year, but the number 1 most excited fan base heading into 2023, you probably already know it, you probably don't know it, but here's the number 1 team, and that's going to be Florida State. Florida State with the most excited fan base heading into 2023, and for good reason. They have a lot of production coming back. Jordan Travis is coming back, and also a potential Heisman contender. And also the transfer portal in the recruiting class has just been outstanding for this team. Florida State definitely deserves a lot of credit, and the fans are just so hyped up for this team heading into 2023. They are ready for this team to take the field already. Fans are waiting to see what this Florida State team could do this year, but will they live up to those expectations that we're kind of hoping them for? Will they live up to those expectations? Will they, be a 10-win team? Will they also be an ACC champion or also a college football playoff contender? They haven't been there in 9 years, so it's been a long time since Florida State's been to the college football playoff, and that was with Jameis Winston when he was there at Florida State, and that was the last time Florida State was actually pretty good, as a team. And, I think Mike Norvell has really changed this program as well. So I'm kind of expecting, Florida State to be really good this year. But their fan base is the reason why they are number 1 here on this list. It's just because of all the hype they have coming in. So Florida State, my number 1 team. And those are my top 10 most excited fan bases heading into the 2023 season. Again, we'll do the opposite tomorrow. We'll go through the top 10 most least excited fan bases heading into 2023. Not hyped up for the season. We're just going to, make a prediction of all those fan bases that are not hyped up. But these are my top 10 most excited fan bases heading into 2023. Let me guys know what you think about this list. Who do you think who should belong on this list? Let me know down in the comments below. And stay tuned here for more sports content on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.